Thanks to Fifine for supplying the microphones for this review. Hello everybody, my name is Zane Zonokami Blaylock, and today I'm bringing you a particular video covering two microphones from the company Fifine. So the microphones in question are particularly two types, a condenser mic and a dynamic mic. And we'll get into what those are, the differences between dynamic and condenser in a second, but I just want to show them off for the boxes. I'll just say, I was pleasantly surprised. Stay tuned. So the eagle-eyed viewers among you who also watch the video version of our podcast might know that we teased these devices in the episode of Essence of Zen After Dark, I believe season 3, episode 4. So we had our time with them, and I've been playing with them amongst a few other things. I've shown a few other stuff I'm testing out, as well as these, if you're wondering why I have contacts on, and these will get some spotlight later. Generally, we've been testing a lot of things, including some other stuff. But yeah, I've been testing out these microphones, the Fifine K669C and the K669D condenser dynamic, and we will talk about the differences soon. But I do want to preference, because the microphone that you're listening to right now is the Samson C01U Pro condenser mic, and the U is for USB. So this is plugged in directly to the recording system. This is going to be our laptop. And I want to preface a few things. If you have been watching our content for the last 3 to 5 years, you know I have a preference for Samson mics. So I just want to go ahead and make that clear right ahead. I am biased towards these mics. You can tell when I do the actual condenser setup, it has that nice rich round sound to it, and I appreciate this a lot. I've been using Samson microphones since the early days of like my college era days, even with the Samson Meteor mic USB, to the point where it's so old that it actually has mini USB, not micro, but mini. So I was actually really skeptical when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to swap out my Samson mics for the Fifine mics into a few of my daily operations, right? And what I found was actually really interesting. So yeah, we're going to be utilizing the Focusrite Scarlet Solo for the XLR Fifine mics, both condenser and dynamic, and I'll get to more of that in a second. So just remember, what you're hearing currently is the Samson C01U Pro condenser mic, right? So then we're going to switch over to the Fifine condenser mic, rocking the Focusrite Scarlet Solo. And we're going to switch now. We're testing out the Fifine K669C. So it's important to note as well that, again, what you're hearing currently is the microphone piped through the Focusrite. Now, because this is a condenser mic that utilizes the XLR cable, it's going to require phantom power. Now, phantom power is essentially just a feature on most mixers or sound cards or etc. that allows you to supply the microphone with extra power. So on the Focusrite Scarlet Solo, there's actually a button for 48 volts. If I enable that, it allows me to utilize this microphone. Now, currently, you'll probably hear that I'm a bit quieter on this microphone. That's because, again, the USB, that's due to the USB connection of the Samson mic earlier was plugged directly into the Windows 11 system, and we managed to volume through Windows 11 sound system. On the Focusrite Scarlet Solo, there's actually a knob for gain. At the moment, we're lower than half. So if I actually raise this up, you're going to notice a shift in the sound, right? Now, I have my monitors going on in my ears currently, so I'm trying to make sure that the sound is correct. You're gonna have to play with the configuration that you have set for microphones like this. I'm sorry if this is dragging out just a bit, but it's very important to state that for microphones of this level, one that has versatility, flexibility, and etc. is not always going to be as simple as plug and play. So if you're gonna think about getting a condenser mic that utilizes the XLR cable, be sure that you play around with the settings and the configuration that you will be using. It's going to differ and vary depending on, again, what system you have as the anchor. If it runs Linux, Mac, Windows, whatever. If your sound card or your mixer, whatever you have, what are you having it set to? Are there other features on it that you have enabled? Do you have Windows set to allow that this sound device can be controlled by other applications? And if so, do you have other applications running in the background that might be messing with the levels and features of your microphone? Keep all of that in mind. And then once you fine tune exactly how you want this mic to sound for your setup, then you'll know. But this is the sound for the K669C. And I don't know about you, but for me, I love the sound. It's bold, it's deep, it's rich, and it doesn't have that that type of frequency on the edge that rattles a bit. I do want to apologize that the current setup I do not have a pop filter like on the major configuration behind me, which I do not touch because that is for some other setups. So if I'm being a bit pompous with my P's and my T's, apologies. But I really dig this sound. I actually might switch to the Fifine for the Essences in After Dark sessions moving forward. But for general purposes, I have looked at the levels, the readings, and just the sound quality. It's phenomenal. I don't. Everybody's opinions and vibes of what they like and dislike are subjective, but the mic actually has a really rich, bold, deep sound without emphasizing too much to the point where it's kind of heavy in certain frequencies. Now, again, you can probably get a different mixer or sound card that has far more configurations on frequency levels. You've probably seen them on like the music studios where people have like the wide boards and they have like the sliders. By all means, if you want to go that deep, go that deep. But I'm talking about for a simple setup with a simple mixer such as the Focusrite Scarlet Solo. And I'm saying this a lot just to make sure that people are kept up to what this is hooked up to. But that's the sound here. And this sounds amazing to me. However, let's actually take a look more so at the dynamic mic as well. So this is the sound of the dynamic mic. And to be fair, it's not as great as the condenser mic in my opinion, but that comes with the territory of dynamic versus condenser, right? I will say, generally speaking though, it's not bad. It's not below what you would expect for a dynamic microphone. The sound range is pretty consistent. It's even. It's balanced in my opinion from what I can hear. Again, I have it set to the same Focusrite mixer. Monitor-wise, what I'm hearing is pretty decent capturing across all ranges. But yeah, it sounds just fine. And I think this is where Fifine really impresses me the most, right? The microphones themselves are essentially, at the time that I am recording this, is under $50 US. And so when you have microphones priced around 50, below 50 even, you can give or take some taxes, might take it up to maybe around 48. It is just an easy buy. It's an easy thing to recommend. So for people who are starting out into some form of content creation and they need microphones or audio equipment and they're trying to figure out exactly what to buy, they want to save some money, I can easily recommend these microphones. Like flat out. The sound quality itself is bar none. It easily sits atop a lot of microphones around this price range, especially when you have things like marketplaces from Amazon to AliExpress to Temu to Facebook Marketplace, etc. If you buy microphones that say they're XLR and condenser, dynamic, whatever, the quality is typically kind of lacking. Looking at Fifine's products today versus their products maybe 5 to 8 years ago, they have come a very long way, and I'm very impressed with them. So you're probably wondering, like, Zane, what is the difference between, you know, the dynamic and condenser microphones? So they're just bare minimum, you can probably guess this, just two different types. A dynamic mic is a more open area microphone that you'll probably see utilized at things like concerts, motivational speaking, events like, you know, at E3, they might have a dynamic mic. It does not require phantom power most of the time when it's XLR and etc. And you just get a more versatile range of sound and volume, right? Notice how I'm not as close to this microphone. I can actually step away a bit from it. I can increase my volume, and you still keep decent amount of quality, right? The volume has capped down to about negative 15 to negative 10 decibels, but if I come back close for clarity, somewhat, you know, decent space. I'm not good in terms of distance, and you know, I'm American, so we use freedom units. But no, it's not that close, and the sound is pretty decent. If you're in a open area for presentations and etc., a dynamic mic will probably suit you better. And again, note how I'm speaking into it at the top of the microphone at a slight angle, because the main point of taking a sound is at the top of the microphone. As for a condenser mic, I have to go back to being relatively close to it, right? Let me lower some of the volume just a little bit so I'm not peaking as I speak a little bit louder. And I have to quiet my voice a bit because a condenser mic is far more sensitive. If you are a voice actor, you will likely want to use a condenser mic. Fine tune it, get your spaces, you're in a quiet environment, probably smaller rooms that has less echo, and essentially, you know, rock with a condenser mic. You can tell the sound is different night and day. Again, condenser, far more bold, rich, deep. You get the radio podcast, high quality-esque level, and you don't want to be too excited. You want to be controlled in how you talk into the microphone, and you kind of just want to make sure, you know, you're just being mindful of what you're sounding like into a condenser mic. And if you notice, I'm speaking to the side of the microphone. Now for the Fifine mic, they have a logo on the front, and that's where you're going to want to speak into. In terms of the Samson mic, same thing. You'll have a green light indicator. For the condenser mic as well, and you want to speak into the side, like, you know, on the side of it, not the top, but the side, facing the logo / LED indicator for whatever microphone you're using. Fifine keeps it simple. Look for the logo, speak into it, and again, as I stated earlier, you want to be doing testing, a lot and lots of testing. So you want to make sure you know what your sound is going to be like on the output before you start trying to, you know, roll off on your monologues of "I'm the one who knocks" and much more. So that covers a lot of the dynamic aspects to the Fifine microphone. I say dynamic aspects, dynamic, more condensed aspects of the microphones. And again, very nice sound qualities. I'm actually considering switching to Fifine for the podcast recordings, but we will see in due time. And let me know if you would actually like me to go back and do some of my other mics as well in terms of reviews and thoughts and opinions. It's a vast world of equipment out there, and you can spend a lot of money on a lot of crap. But I can tell you this now, I don't think you'll mind spending some money on some fine mics. I've been Zane Zonakami Blaylock from Essence of Zen. I will see you in the next video, but until then, as always, take care. And check out our podcast, Essence of Zen After Dark. You can find it on YouTube in the video format, or if you want to do audio only, you can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and almost any other podcast platform that you might utilize. Thank you. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are mine and mine alone.
Much music.